So it happened. You hopped in the car, tried to start the engine, and nothing. Now you're sitting there thinking, guys, there's no reason to be thinking that. It's an easy fix. Let's dive into it. So first thing you got to do is you got to head to your nearest hardware store. Wait, back up. Why are you going to the hardware store? Well, as you guys can clearly see, my car is running. Now, you guys are clearly wondering how I got it started because your car is sitting there not starting. Well, all I can say, there is an easy way and there's a hard way. The easy way, if you're lucky, is there's ways that you can actually look at this to kind of see the starter is right there. So if you've seen the title, you'll obviously see it's a starter issue. Now, I'm going to say 99% of the time your car won't start either because it's got a bad battery or the starter is not engaging. Yes, before you light me up in the comments, there's lots of other things that your car could not be starting by, but 99% of the time, check the easy things first. So if your starter is actually not kicking on right now, there's a few things that you want to do, right? Say you're in your car and say the car is actually not starting right up. What you want to do is you can take like something long or something metal, something like that, just kind of hit it on the starter to see if that actually starts it up. That can be one thing. If it does start up while you're hitting the ignition, that could also tell you that it's not the relay, it's not the connection, it's not the conductivity of the actual starter itself. It's actually your starter going bad as well. But that could also help you kind of make that connection. So that's the easy way. Honestly, sometimes if you just sit in your car and you engage your clutch and try to start the car multiple times, sometimes you'll get lucky and the car will start eventually. Now that is also a clear sign there's something going on with your starter. Now that's easy way. If you have a manual transmission car, just like I do, what you also could do is you can actually, get a few buddies behind you, give you a little push, and you can actually kind of jump start your car if you really need to. Like if your starter really is just absolutely dead, you can actually use the engine's momentum to start your car as well, or turn the engine over. Now, if that's the case and you have to do that, you're going to have to buy a whole new starter and replace the whole thing. Now, if you do get the chance to start your car up by tapping the starter, or it just kind of pops on after a few times, I'm going to show you guys a quick easy fix that worked for me, which could work for you, which could save you tons of money. So we're back at the hardware store. So once you guys make it into the hardware store, what you want to be looking for is dielectric grease. This is going to help with the conductivity of all the electrical components of your starter, which you're hoping is your problem. This costs a grand total of $6. Alright, step one, you got to figure out a way to get underneath your car. I'm using ramps. I find they're safer, and especially for something like this, it's easy. Then you need to disconnect the negative battery terminal. It's just a 10mm socket and wrench. This is going to ensure your starter doesn't engage while you're underneath, which is a huge issue if it does happen. I'm not joking, this is serious. Please do this. Alright, so the next step is to get underneath your car and start finding your starter. Now, if you guys are scared and you're like, oh man, my car does not look like this guy's at all, there's this big black sheet over top of it, I can't see anything. Yeah, it's called your skid plate. You're going to have to take it off. Now, I've taken it off years ago. I hated the thing. It caught snow. It was broken. Used to drag on the ground. And also, I found my car was basically like trying to lift off the ground after 120 kilometers, and it was terrible. So I've taken it off, and it makes everything easier for me. Now, if you're someone who likes to keep it factory, for sure, take it off, put it back on. It will be a pain, but again, your car will be factory. So at this point, there's only like 3 connection points that you need to take off. So as you guys can see here, there's this little black clip. There's 2 things you can pinch on the side that opens it up. It opens up to a nut, which you're going to need. I think it was a 13mm or 14mm bolt. All you're going to need is just a ratchet that you can put that nut over top of it. Start loosening them up. It's the same size as the front one, which you can see there. I always start with the back as I'm showing you right here first. So that's what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to loosen both those up, take those off, and then I'll be back. So you got this part that attaches to this. You have your main power positive over here on this side right here, which again has this long cord on it, has all this plastic stuff on it, and then you also have this little bit right here as well. So that being said, you have these 3 parts right here. Now, first off, what you should be trying to do is you should be just looking for some sort of corrosion. So there could be all salt buildup on this. There could be a bunch of different things that are kind of built up on all 3 parts. So there's one right here, one right here, and one right here. So what you want to do is this is where you want to take your grease So you want to take your grease and you're going to lube up all of these parts and basically just kind of put it back together. Now make sure when you guys are putting it back together that you go lock washer once you have everything back. So you'd have this, you'd have your lock washer, and then you'd also have your nut. There's probably a torque spec for this as well, which I'm going to look up here in a second, but then you torque it to the actual torque spec, and then you're just kind of on your way. So this is a good time to kind of check over exactly what's going on with your starter. Starters are actually really easy to change on this car as well. If you really want to change, you're already pretty much halfway there. You just have these three things which we've taken off right now. So you have these three things that we've taken off. All you need to do is you need to take off this bolt, and then there's kind of a pain in the ass bolt behind the starter, which you can also reach from up top, which again, if you have a long extension, it might be the easier way to do it. Or you can kind of reach up and you can kind of see where the bolt is. Once you get a nut on it, it's really not that bad. Or if you have those ratchet wrenches, it actually makes the job pretty easy. But after that, once you have these two bolts out, this actually just pops right out, and then you can if your starter is actually bad, maybe it's making a grinding noise, maybe it's making you know, a few noises, not just like mine's just basically it's not starting when you press the start button. Maybe not every time. If I pull the clutch out, put it back in, or if I just wait for like 5 seconds, it'll click on. So it's probably just the solenoid that's inside here. Again, it's probably could be just the switch itself that's bad, but this is what I want to do first, just to make sure, because there's really not a lot of corrosion on this to begin with. There's some salt buildup and everything too, so I'm just gonna put the grease on. Like I said, it started today fine, but other nights it kind of left me stranded, so I want to make sure. There is a little bit of corrosion on this right here, as I can see. So if you want to sand down that a little bit with like super fine sandpaper, you can do that as well if there's lots of corrosion on it, or like a wire brush or something. And then you just kind of put this back together. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys this. Hopefully right now it's kind of hard because my picture broke, but I'm going to put some grease on this, make sure everything's kind of hunky-dory. I'm gonna start from the back, then work my way back down to the easiest parts. So I'm gonna kind of put the lock washer right back on here after the grease and everything. Well, you got to put this back on here, but I'm gonna lube this up, then I'm gonna lube this up as well, and then I'm gonna put everything back together. So I'm gonna do that now. All right, so that's it, put back together, guys. Just looks exactly like that. It's pretty simple. Again, guys, sorry that I couldn't do the whole video of me actually doing this. It was a really big pain to kind of take a video down there, but it is really simple. All it is you take some of that dielectric grease and you basically just smother each connection. Why is that? It just helps with the connection and the conductivity, so that electric connection can tell the starter to start, which is one of the main reasons why your connection is not working. Again, you're underneath your car and I don't have a skid plate. You can see the starter's all dirty. All that dirt can get in there and mess that up as well. So it's really good to have that dielectric grease. All I'm doing right now is just showing you the third part. It was just that little clip. There's a little plastic tip that you can kind of just basically to press down to put a little pressure on to pull it off, and then it comes right off. And again, all I'm going to do right now is just lube it up again with I guess a finger's worth of grease there, put it all back together, and then go reattach the battery cable. I think I mentioned it in the rest of the video here. Especially my car is in gear right now, that would not be good at all. Okay, so that being said, I'm gonna lube this up and we're gonna start the car, see if it works. Again, if you guys are wondering what a little corrosion looks like, you guys can see it right there. So you can actually use that grease on these terminals as well. You can clean them up and do all that kind of stuff too with them as well. But yeah, see, this is a good example of what also could be building up on your starter. Okay, and again, I can add the grease to the terminals as well if you guys just want to put them on the terminals. You guys are more than welcome to do that as well. But I'm going to take this positive off and clean that up a little bit as well with a rag, and then add that grease. That's pretty much it. All right, check the moment of truth. Get the key in the car. Got the start button. All right, start it right up. So again, guys, hopefully this was helpful. Again, please do not spend money that you don't need to. This is super, super simple. You don't even need the dielectric grease if you just want to check it. Like if you can start your car right now and get under it just to check to see if it's all corroded, and it is that connection, just mess around with it. Some people literally try to replace their whole starter, and it's all it is just the fact that there's dirt, salt, grime, it's winter, gets up underneath your car, doesn't make it able to have that connection, and your car won't start. So hopefully this saved you some money. If it did, press the like button. If it helped you guys out at all, if you have any comments, message me down below. I will answer them for sure. And as always, let's play it off with some music.